degree winds and whatnot.
Well, this is some.
There's about, I think there's 420 villages and towns who've just become climate smart, what they call climate smart, and they've met all these parameters to become that. And of course, they get money to do other kind of clean projects in their community. They don't all get $10 million like we do, you know. So, you know, it's becoming more and more common for villages to do that, and so it's more and more cool to even look like a green. It's not as, you won't be stoned for going green, is what I think. Where you would have, when they were trying to drill up New York State, you would have been looked down upon for going in that direction, and so I just think it's more acceptable now to, I think people would understand a 0.3% more.
Okay, take this in the right vein. We now have to start putting our brains together and talk about this. I'm not trying to be rude to you, but
I'm
it's
done.
Yeah, it's time. And we know exactly how you feel. So if we need some stuff, we'll ask you now. But we don't only have a few people here. We got to figure out what we're going to do here.
Yep.
So our options are: first, do we want to be in any plan?
Right.
Obviously, I'm stating the obvious, but still, do we want to be in any plan? Second, and this is pretty much as the mega is pretty much the one where we can be in now if we want to be in a plan.
Right.
And if we want to, which of the two that we have do we want to be in? That's pretty simple. So then
Well,
we-
and after 24 months, we can go with another plan, right?
Good, yeah.
Absolutely,
Or we could get out of the plan altogether.
absolutely. But, yeah, so we know that we're only committed for
2 years.
2 years. So do we want to either offer or semi-make, we're not really making them do it, but it's complicated. Do we want to offer or semi-make our residents this thing? That's our first question. Do we think, are the same, you know, when we're looking at our bills and these numbers and what's in, whatever extra few percent may be included in here, so these numbers are not, the numbers I have here are the monthly kilowatt hours. So they're a little low compared, because there's obviously a couple of little things included.
Same as I did, yeah.
Is the savings real?
I don't think it's a bad deal based on that you are locked into that price for 2 years. It doesn't go up and down.
I sure didn't see anything going, I looked back a while, I didn't see anything
Is anything
under
going down?
about here's 429, 464, 425, nothing, mostly everything was 450 or more. So there wasn't a 023 or an 038, there was nothing like that. But prices have been down.
They've been stable.
Um,
Oh, yeah,
They've
they're
been-
cheaper now.
They've been pretty low.
Than they
considering.
were previously.
Okay, yeah, like we're gonna know this, do we have any reason to believe at all that the prices are gonna go down? I can't imagine.
No idea.
Yeah.
Gas over there?
Yeah.
The biggest thing you gotta worry about is the spike.
Right.
You don't want your
Yes.
residents to get hit with a spike that stays up,
Yep.
Right.
and you would lose anything that they would save by not being in it. If you were in it, you're steady, you know what your bill is every month, it's whatever.
Predictability is a big thing, at least for
Right,
me, right? Especially I got a hot tub in the backyard, I don't know what the bill's gonna be.
All of a sudden, there's no oil in the Mideast, that bill goes from 5 times that.
That's the whole reason,
And we're-
that's the whole reason for the deal, is
That's-
stability and no weird thing happening, and of course, you pay a little bit for that,
You get-
and then you understand that if somehow, some way, electricity went down, then you would have lost that gamble to some degree, but I can't imagine you would have lost the heck out of it. And if it looks like it's going down, people can opt out.
True.
So if it starts to go down, and it went down this month, or next
Yeah.
month, and next month, they can get out.
Yeah,
They could, if they're paying attention that much.
Yeah, that's true. So that's still the first question, do we want to put our community in this or not?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. the
don't look
ability.
at the environmental aspect of it, and we all should. In this day and age, when things cost what they do, people are looking for a savings any way they can get it. I think that's why this needs to do a capitalizing on it.
Probably.
But if we went with 100% renewable, people can opt out if they want
They
to.
could get a year rate,
And then they have good choices.
right, if we don't go with that option, then they can opt out, but that's not the price, and we don't know what the price is.
And that's the catch-22.
So,
If you go with that option, then you can get, guaranteed to get this other price if you want.
you wanna call her back and tell her, ask her if she found that price? I don't know, is that something we wanna care about or bother doing? Okay.
I guess
Folks?
bottom line, we know it's more than that.
It's gonna be more than that, I know. Folks are always extremely concerned about their pocketbooks and their nickels and dimes. Whatever we do, it's not that we're here to make somebody happy, but whatever we do, they'll be fussing about it one way or the other.
Yep.
Well, I think we need to, whatever we do, we need to make sure that residents are aware that they can opt out, or they can opt out.
Wasn't there supposed to be an information stuff, not just a card coming to them, wasn't there supposed to be
There's supposed to be like
meetings,
training, yeah.
training, meeting,
Yeah.
something,
There's a schedule,
so that they would be informed about this stuff?
yes.
Of course. We're a little, once again, we're a little doubtful about some things right now.
Yeah.
You're gonna really do this training? How
Pressure.
comprehensive is it gonna be? When are you gonna do it? How, we're a little bit.
One good thing is that commercial lock-in, that's
What's that? Can't
the
hear you.
commercial lock-in.
Business lock-in,
Because this is for
Residential and
business.
commercial, except for maybe those big.
except big commercial.
This
So
was
it's gonna lock them in the same rate.
I don't know what they classify big commercial,
Probably not,
but I
Uh,
was,
A garage or whatever, they have different rates.
Actually, weird about, so I have small business, my non-residential was, in January is 1/1000th less than the residential. In December it was 38 thousandths more. Next time was 6 thousandths more, another time it was 7 thousandths less, and another time it was 2 thousandths more. It's just kind of interesting how that, however that plays, why the residential and commercial wouldn't be linear together, but it's not. But yes, that could be helpful for small business savings.
Could you ask, like Kevin's kind of, you've listened to the whole thing, what is like your opinion on this whole thing? Just off the top of your head.
I'm sorry.
No.
We're asking Kevin, just a resident in the village, what he thinks.
And you
Just
saw
a
the
thought,
whole thing, you saw the different prices.
because we're sending them to your house when we go around.
I'm just curious.
You got any things, thoughts?
I mean, there's not a huge difference price-wise, any of the ways, other than the spike protection. I gotta admit, right now, if you look at the price of gas, we're probably had been into a lower price of energy and we're starting to climb, so.
Car gasoline?
chances- Car gasoline. So chances are electricity's probably gonna climb some. They usually kind of track together.
Yes, there's some correlation, we're ignorant of the price of a barrel of oil and how that translated into other energies. Yeah, there's something there.
typically.
We would expect that's all manipulated by all the forces, but you would expect that will be going up.
We expect it. Usually doesn't go down, it did for a little bit.
You know, this does lock it into a fixed price for 2 years, which
So,
has some advantages.
kind of as we were saying when we talked to them a month or two ago, there aren't a tremendous amount of downsides for this if people bother to pay attention, and bother to get the information and bother to do the stuff. There's not a tremendous downside. They can not be in the program, be on NICEAG. They can be in the program on mediocre energy, and they can be in the program on 100% renewable. So they're kind of not getting the shaft anywhere. Does anybody think they are? Pretty much not.
No, they're not.
How about you, Mike? Think anything?
Yeah? Thoughts?
You can't predict anything that's gonna happen today, tomorrow, the next day.
Right, as they plan this.
And if you do this now, everybody's stuck at that, whatever it is, kilowatt hour. In 2 days, Lord knows what could happen somewhere else that's gonna spike the price,
Right? Or drop it.
or drop it, so, you know,
I don't think that'll happen, but.
But we do have the protection about the drop too, because of, people can opt out. If
That's
it
true.
drops and starts
Everything
dropping,
drops,
they
get
can,
out.
they can opt out. So I'm trying to figure out myself where the major downsides are on this, and I'm just not getting them.
I guess the only way you really could get shaft is if it drops, you opt out, and then it spikes, you can't get back in.
And she didn't tell us exactly, but you're not gonna be able to go in, out, in, out, in, out.
Right.
There is a methodology to get in and to get out, but you certainly can't do it over and over and over. She didn't give us detail on that,
Kids.
so.
This vote.
it ultimately comes down to how much money is it gonna save the village.
So let's pretend that we vote to have it, which we didn't do yet. So now which one do we want to default to be?
I think 100%, because if you don't pick that, so if you pick the 100%, everybody gets these prices, whether you're up or down.
Yep.
Whether you want good or dirty or however you want to call it.
Yep.
If we don't pick the 100%, then these prices aren't.
The 100%ers will have to pay
Get
some
more.
degree more, whatever that might be. The other price still stays the same. What are you thinking, Charles? What's on your mind?
I think exactly that. This is,
That's 100%.
yeah.
Yeah, because
I mean, there's no error, I mean, we're looking out for the,
it's education. If they want to, they can get the cheaper price. If they want to save
yeah, those options are there for them.
3/10 of
They're not being forced to do anything either way if they see it.
And of course, the other things
Not
that
down.
we didn't play with here is the potential solar things here. Whatever, it doesn't matter, some of the solar people saying, whatever they say, 10% discount from NICEAG rates and so blah, blah, blah. but
If they want to do that, they still can. It doesn't lock them out of doing it.
Is that an SO?
it is not an ESCO.
ESCO?
You can do an ESCO, you can do this, and you can also get 10% off your bill from joining a solar farm.
Is a solar farm, does it have to be a whole
Now-
village, or can that be individual?
Does it have, it's one person at a time.
Okay.
Or
So somebody can do-
businesses can sign up too.
So a person could do this by themselves? if they
Yes.
choose. Okay,
So you can get out of this and do that if that's a better
that's
deal.
what they want to do.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do a lot of
Okay.
educating.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they know.
But that's what that
what their-
training, that
what
training
their
stuff is
options
supposed to
are.
be, and then our job of overtraining it if that's not
Yeah,
sufficient.
but I mean, but there aren't that many people who come to board meetings. I mean,
No, we
we're
Well,
gonna
we'll put it in the
have to do a
paper.
lot of
We would have to do it on there.
Whatever we're gonna do.
Yeah, it can't be at work.
I know at least one church will be urging its members to go 100%. And that's also the teaching of the Catholic Church and the Methodist Church and the Episcopal Church. And we all are pushing on a national level to go 100%. So if the local clergy go with that, you will have that as a means of communication.
So God is on
Is
our
that-
side.
Is that the bookstore's last week
Always.
recycling?
Did you bring that on purpose?
I thought it was
Laura?
Shane Laura?
All right,
I didn't realize you worked there, but I,
Okay, we can talk it to death. Are we ready?
I think we're ready. We're ready to vote?
Somebody has to make a motion.
Who's making a motion?
Laura's ready. Or not?
Well, it's, to decide, okay, so it sounds like we wanna opt in and do the 100%, is that, so I'll motion, that we enter into the,
24 months?
yeah, this, 24-month agreement but for the 100% renewable electricity
As a default.
as a default.
I'll second.
Okay. Charles,
Yes, I vote yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
I'll vote yes.
Where's Jerry?
Smile on your face.
Drinks on me.
There's ice water back there.
That ice water was, that is not the 100% renewable ice water. That is
What time is it today?
5 minutes to 9?
Yeah,
Now you still got one business yet?
What's up?
One piece of business, the DRI,
yeah.
explain that to me.
What was your point of reference?
So,
Sir,
the DRI committee has asked us to adopt this resolution. So there's a project in the DRI on North Avenue to turn the pit into an art park. It used to be housing plus an art park, and at the completion of the project, Bruce Nelson was gonna give us the park. As
Is
part
that
of the
area
village.
adjacent to, community center?
Across the
Yeah, across the
Across the
street.
the pit.
Between there and Central. Right now it's nothing, grass. So, the housing has pulled out, Bruce Nelson has pulled out. So if this project goes forward, it would be a village-sponsored project, without Bruce, and it would just become a park and a parking lot, is the proposal.
At $1.5 million, right?
Well, that would be the,
The DRI would fund whatever, I forget, I think it's in there for $1.5 million.
Yeah.
I'm looking up, but,
No, it's-
so, yeah, it's a nice park, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna plant grass and put scope.
I mean, and one question I had last week is,
Now, they had
Bruce said that-
talked
Bruce said
at one
that
point,
he couldn't do it because he was told that the soil,
right,
That's why you can't build houses.
right.
and so, you know, they couldn't,
Nobody
they
can
were
build
saying,
there.
they were talking about filling part of it in, and we've been told
So
before
that,
that it can't be done.
right, they talked about filling part of it in and using like an underground reservoir system. That really is not
Something wrong with the
feasible.
soil.
The best option is to leave it how it is, as far as
Yeah.
terrain. And make it nice, I guess.
Well, it's
Ready?
gonna flood every time.
It's gonna flood, so
Well,
whatever,
every
whatever
part
is put
floods.
there has to be resilient to the flood. Well, this would put us on the hook,
Floods.
what this would put us on the hook for is we'll lose property tax on that piece of land, which I had Rodney look it up, and we get, it's 2 pieces of land actually. But we get $178 for one, and $201.68 for the other. So we lose that.
Yeah.
So we lose $380 in property tax. And it puts the village on the hook, Jeff's department, to maintain, shovel the sidewalks. Essentially, they're gonna mow this part, maintain it. He was kinda already signed up for that, Bruce. I know his emails clearly stated, no.
Cool, if you volunteers are signed up for that. To not make the workload even greater for
Possible, they probably can't mow anything, but after that.
Is this
Over
across
here.
from the Presbyterian Church?
Yeah, the pit.
We have a scout troop that meets at the church.
Okay.
Could we approach them with the idea of doing some sort of, take that on as one of their community service projects? Would that be helpful to you?
In the future, something like that could be done, but right now,
Yeah.
this is.
That's a possibility. There's issues around mowing, but we can get over that.
Yeah. I don't know, to
Plant
me,
feet.
spend it,
Yeah,
when we
right.
have 10 million to spend $1.5 million on that park,
Well, as
it's
an,
illogical.
as an update on the 10 million, which you weren't on the call today, we're at a point with the 10 million where the list is in really good shape.
Where are we at?
hopefully nothing else needs to be cut. We're at about 12.5.
Did the Marvin Park thing get dumped?
No, Marvin Park's still in there.
So, Mr. Mayor,
I mean, are they gonna go ahead with the fire department?
Fire department's still on the list.
Yeah, I know it's still on the list, but I mean, to me, if we're spending $400,000 on the fire department, it's much more urgent than spending $1.5 million on the park.
Mr. Mayor, can I summarize this? The DRI is down to about $12.5 million. That's about how much they want to turn into the state. Unless there's a great reason, you guys probably tomorrow do not have to cut any projects.
They're going to.
They're gonna cut projects? What?
I would,
That's their intent.
I can't say anything officially, but if I was gonna bet, I would say no.
So here's the deal about not cutting any projects. It's down to $12.5 million. They're gonna turn these into the state's gonna cut a bunch of these projects. We talked about this before. They're likely to cut, who knows, enough projects to get that under $10 million. If and when they do that,
Yeah, it's actually 9.7 million.
9.7 because of the 300 for the consulting firm. But if and when they do that, so if the state says, no, you give us all these things, but there's only $8 million worth here that we're gonna do, that's how much we get. We then don't say, well, then let us add some more in here.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
not how we believe the process is gonna work. So we don't wanna cut a bunch of stuff out of there to bring this number down. We want a bunch of stuff in there.
And you also don't, so if some of those projects go through and then they fall through, then if it wasn't on the plan, you don't get to fund it with the DRI.
Correct.
That's why they like between, 11 and 13 million to be submitted.
Okay, so I want a potential project in that hole left in the plan. Now, because it's just in the plan. And then the state will say whether anything that anybody decides, because we don't have a particular clerk of the works or developer at this moment, the state will decide whether or not whatever gets thought up or come in there is a good idea or not, and the village will decide whether or not they want to take on anything with it. But if it's on the plan, we can't do anything. So I would like it left in the plan, but I don't, this is not our resolution. This resolution comes from somebody else. It's also not from the committee. Because the committee didn't get together to give this resolution.
No, that's from, this thing,
It's from
Tower State
somebody.
Bank.
It's from somebody else. It's not from the committee, it's not from us. So I don't want us to make a commitment to do this on this resolution. What I want is what I think is a good idea, is for our representatives at that final DRI stuff tomorrow to say, leave the project in. We don't have a huge downside for leaving that project in. What do you want to trim it to? Want to trim the thing to 10 million even? Well, that's not a good plan. Leave the project in. Maybe we figure out how to make that work somehow, something. We don't know. But it doesn't, we don't have
So
a
I
downside
guess-
for leaving it in.
I don't know if they're necessarily wanting us to pass that exact resolution, or maybe a motion of support for the project, that if it gets funded, we're willing to do it,
Can we,
right? Because they don't want
Can
to leave
we-
projects in there that aren't gonna happen.
but nobody knows, yeah, they don't want it, but nobody knows if they're gonna happen. And once again, we've been given this thing that they've been meeting for 6 months, and we're given this thing 10 minutes before and asked to make a decision, which once again, we're not necessarily ready to commit to that decision.
So
I
I'm
would
not saying to
think-
pass that, but I'm saying to do something official.
I think we should do something along the lines of the village board, the feeling of the village board or whatever, that you leave that project in the DRI. We want that project left in.
If it happens, I mean, it's gonna become a village project.
We don't have to say that in our thing.
Well,
There's
We
no
don't have to
sponsor,
say
there's
it.
no sponsor for it.
I
You
understand.
can't have a project in there with no sponsor.
Now, this art part, is that the only idea for this spot?
That's just the idea that came up. I mean, it could be a regular park too.
Well, because I like
You got a
art.
better idea.
I love art, but how many people in the league are really into art? And what kind of art is gonna go there? Like
Well-
sculptures and stuff?
metal sculptures,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who wants to really,
And,
I mean, I would like to, but I'll go to the Guggenheim Museum, I'll travel to see some really cool art. What art do we have that would go there? But, you know, mean, I would like to see something that involves our youth. Lord knows they need something to do in this town.
Well, nothing is set as far as plans.
And I don't think they'll go there just to see some art. They'll probably do
No,
some
no,
art of
it's
their
meant to
own.
be like a
Because there's a
playground.
basketball course.
It's meant to be a playground.
I mean, as far as the park goes, we could design that however we want.
Yeah, if, one of the things we talked about is to have like a water function, you know, the kids could play in.
Yeah, like,
That's
something
like-
like that, or, I
that'd
mean,
be
well,
part
we
of
do
it.
have the pool.
But, I mean, it would be, you know, arts,
Or you can have a water function when it rains.
artistic and whatever.
Question, how long ago was it, just give me a general feel, how long ago was the engineers said they couldn't put the buildings in there and Bruce pulled out?
Couple months,
No, within the last month.
huh?
A month ago? Okay, so if
So
at
far.
that time, at that moment, we didn't have any sponsor for this, the DRI didn't pull this.
Well, it's down to the final, so the final meeting is tomorrow night, and they have to submit the plan.
Yeah.
And they can't submit the plan with no sponsor, so that's where this all comes from.
What's wrong with the soil?
We
Is there
can't-
something wrong with the soil?
It's because it floods all the time.
The soil will not support the housing that he wanted to build.
Anything going in there,
Can't give you chapter and verse,
water
but that's
for
the.
children is not gonna mix good.
No, the soil would not support the building of the houses.
Because you gotta drive them way down the ground.
Right.
So how do we tell them that we want this to still be in the DRI project? But,
We basically have to say that we'll sponsor it.
Well, let me ask you this, once the state decides on which projects stay and which go, can the village, after that fact, say, no, we decided we don't want that?
Yes, but we can't use that money for,
you can't use it for something else.
Right,
but yeah,
but we can, at a later point in time, we can say, no, we don't wanna do it.
all the projects.
Well, we'd rather have it,
So no project,
do
nobody's,
something in that area,
nobody's
because right now it's just.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's doing what they,
At least the park would make it look nice.
Yeah, at least.
And we're gonna lose
Even making a parking lot.
$380.
Yeah. Surprising,
That's, that's part of the park down on
Right.
the Central Ave part of it.
Currently as a parking lot,
Right.
Honestly, if you turn that into a park, it's gonna turn into a new shooting gallery for our local heroin addicts. And a place for the drugs to pass out. That's what's got, yeah, cause the rainbow's right there, they're gonna come out of the rainbow, pass out there.
currently Titan State Bank is funding us a parking lot, and they pay us $380 in taxes a year for that space.
And they maintain it.
And they
Oh,
maintain it and stuff like that. We, after they do build an art park, we would have to plow it,
Maintain it.
maintain it,
Yep.
mow it.
Yeah.
Every time it floods in that pit, we
Deal
have
with
an
it.
issue.
Clean it out.
So it's a big money.
this is an, I'm sorry,
Volunteer.
this is another situation where, do we have a downside, something to lose? If we get them to keep this in the project, do we potentially have something to gain? If we figure out something we wanna do there, that we can do there, that the state will approve, then we can have the funding to do it. If instead, right here, the 5 minutes, we try to figure out, what are we gonna put there, what could happen? Then we've taken out any possibility for us to have something good happen there. We don't have to, we can figure out later what we might want to put there, what the state might approve, and what it'll cost us, what maintenance, and do it or not do it. But if we don't do it now, we don't have any of those options. So, that's what I'm trying to do with this resolution is,
I agree with you, Russ.
put it, somehow have it stay in the DRI project without us making a whole, I don't like to make a whole bunch of claims of, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, I
I
don't
think
wanna
if
do
it
that.
stays in, we have to commit to sponsor it.
Then that's what we want. If it stays in, we commit that we will, if it stays in, we will be the sponsor, or something like that. Without saying that, but if, that we'll do this, and we'll do this, and we'll do this, and we'll do this.
You have to totally remove this line about where we accept the donation of the property,
I would
Right.
totally remove all the lines, this is not our resolution.
right?
You've heard this kind of stuff from me before.
Now, you guys know, being on the committee, one of the things is land ownership, so this project won't have that. 'Cause technically, if the village of Wego sponsors it, and Tioga State Bank owns the land, when it goes to the state, they'll say, well, you don't own all of it, you don't have no site control or whatever they call it.
Yeah, but they're offering to donate it.
But they are offering to donate it to the village.
And that would be that's part of the idea, is the idea. None of this is gonna happen before tomorrow, that would be the idea of how this would proceed. So, my opinion is the
We can
resolution
put
would
that
be,
in the description.
and their thing. My idea is the resolution would be something like the village board of VOO, not wants, but better language, wants the
We'll
DRI
sponsor it, and
wants the
direct
DRI
them
to
sponsor the
include
project.
this project in its presentation in the New York State, however it is, and we will be the sponsor of that
Project
project.
sponsor.
We will be the project sponsor. That would be the kind of thing I'd put in there.
You making a motion for that?
Does Nate get to pick that language? Who gets to pick that language? Do I get to-
You just said a
I
whole.
think
Rodney wrote it down.
Yeah, I think Rodney got it.
The Village of Wigan wants the DRI included in this project. and-
No, once, no.
Once, what you say?
Art part.
The DRI wants
Or they
that,
have art part.
the-
I mean, it's a motion for the village board, the village of Owego to sponsor the
Project,
art
be the project
park.
sponsor.
project.
To be the project sponsor for the art park, is that?
Art park.
North Ave.
North Ave art park. I think you just leave it like that.
That's what I
Here's
want.
where it is, we've agreed to be the sponsor. It sounds, I haven't seen this other resolution that somebody.
Yeah, you can see if you like. Yeah, but, so we agreed to be the sponsor of that project.
That looks like a county.
Yeah, economic development.
Oh, that is what that is. We agreed to be the sponsor of that project, and,
Sooner or later, we're gonna get
yeah,
this
is that
project.
good enough, you think?
If Tiger State quits paying taxes on it, which you could just say, yeah, we don't want it, or they'll give it to somebody else.
So,
Kind of a good way.
What, Nate?
I mean,
They've offered to the village many times.
the big thing about this resolution is it says Tiger State Bank is donating its property to you. Do you have anything from Tiger State?
No.
Actually donate this property.
So, once again, that's a resolution that doesn't
Yeah,
follow.
it doesn't follow the facts on the ground. So I think the resolution language that we use right now should be enough at this point, because we don't have anything else.
And then it's your mission,
If you say
choose to
that.
accept it at the committee to say, yes, we'll sponsor that, leave it in there, and all the things that need to happen
Work through
will
the
happen
details.
Yeah,
if we can get
we'll
that.
accept the property at the time that
We
the
need to
project is
accept it.
approved.
Funded.
Yeah, but we're not gonna say that, but you can say that to them, we're not making that in the resolution, that's the implication.
We're gonna say you can't have unless you take the property, why you can have it.
Well, and I think the only way we would ever want it, right, is if this project gets approved.
Yep.
We figure out a good reason, a good thing to do there.
Yep.
Right.
And then we actually accept the property.
Yep.
You know, we're not gonna accept the property now, because we accept the property now, guess what? It's ours.
And we're also not gonna accept the property now because it doesn't exist, the accepting of the property now doesn't exist.
Right.
So we don't have to address that, if you,
We don't have any documentation.
whoever made this resolution stuff, you didn't give anybody enough time to make those things happen.
There's no deeds there.
So, do we have that clear? We agree to be the sponsor of that project, go ahead.
You second that?
I'll second it.
We'll vote on that. Who
Chris
made
made
it?
the motion, we're talking about.
I'll second it.
Okay, you're saying you're gonna vote?
I'm gonna vote.
Yes.
I'll vote yes.
Yeah, it's just gonna be just an eyesore. All the years I've lived here, I don't even look over there anymore, because there's nothing to look at.
Just a fence.
Just,
No,
yeah.
we're not voting to do that. We're voting to
Cycle, I started over there.
leave that possibility in the mix.
Who knows if the state will fund
It's
it?
got more votes, that's why.
They probably
No,
will.
that's fine, I'm not picking on you, I'm just.
All right,
I vote no,
last
thanks,
thing.
Steve.
It's fire department related. Nate can explain it, because he's spent hours and hours on the phone with Mr. Morrissey.
Too much time. So you all might recall last week being notified of certain suspensions
Right.
that took place among the EMS folks. The knock-on effect of that, there was some miscommunication about the narcotics officer role, and the individual who performs those duties, which is very important, because by state law, the village is required to have a narcotics officer who is responsible for the custody and control of the narcotics, right? this miscommunication, it was apparently conveyed that the narcotics officer is no longer responsible for doing that. Now, that's not any decision that the fire board, I think, can make. That is something that you folks would be ultimately, I think, responsible for. However, because of this miscommunication, the state was informed and became very concerned about the custody and control of these narcotics, which prompted a long series of phone calls sorting out, okay, what happened and, in fact, who is the narcotics officer. Just long and short of it is, Ms. Cole is the narcotics officer. She is still the narcotics officer. She has the authority to access those drugs, which means she has the authority to, wherever those drugs are located, she gets to go there and make sure that those drugs are there and being used appropriately, and any paperwork that has to get done is getting done in order to make sure that everything's followed and dealt with. So I've communicated that to the state. They've asked simply that you as the board also pass a resolution, and then Rodney, that we do just a quick certification. Yep, here's the resolution that the board passed, this evening, confirming that Ms. Cole is in fact still the narcotics officer.
Disqualified, right?
Yes. And I've talked to her and she's good with that,
Okay.
as long as she has access to everything she's supposed to have access to. And other parties have agreed to that as well.
Right, and I know the mayor kind of led this meeting off with a statement that the organizational structure, kind of is what it is as it has been. I think the past week which is what prompted the mayor to make that statement,